Hi everyone and welcome to the review of the Tough as Nails mod, which will complicate your survival by adding the mechanics of thirst and temperature. This mod has been around for many years and is still being updated recently. It came out on version 1.18. This is what I will analyze, therefore many features may be missing if you play on older versions of Minecraft. Also, this mod was created by the same developers as the mod that adds seasons to Minecraft. In today's review, it will also appear, so I advise you to watch the video to get acquainted to understand what kind of mod it is in any case. Before watching, as always, do not forget to put a like, subscribe to the channel and leave comments. This greatly helps the promotion of the videos and the channel as a whole, and we do not waste a second and move on to the review. Then ear snails, let's go. Well, let's start with the mechanics of drinking and thirst. It is similar to vanilla hunger. With the mine, it will be displayed above your progress bar in the form of blue drops that will be spent little by little over the course of your game, so that your character will want to drink. It is enough to run and jump in the fresh air a little. It will be taken away like hunger in such half-sized drops that will subsequently turn black. That is, in general, it works exactly like vanilla hunger. Food can be obtained even simply by hand through hunting or gathering. But you will not be able to drink water without a container, and therefore your first priority when creating a new world will be to mine a large amount of sand, as well as craft a stove, smelt it as quickly as possible, and get some glass and create glass bottles for yourself. And then go to any watering hole, be it the sea or some pond, but drink from the sea or river as a priority because the water there is much cleaner. And you will be given such bottles of water if you collect water, for example, in some puddle, in a dirty pond, or in a swamp. Then you will have a bottle of dirty water and use the latter only as a last resort if there are no alternatives at all. Drinking each such bottle replenishes you 1.5 drops of your thirst bar. So most likely you will need to carry several bottles. As you can see now, I drank and everything was fine with me with a chance of imposing thirst for 30 seconds. This is an analog of the hunger effect that will take away from you over time the indicator of drops, that is. River or seawater is understandably cleaner than in a swamp, but at the same time it can still have a chance to poison you if you drink dirty swamp water there. It seems to me a 100% chance of getting this thirst because I have never been lucky that it was not imposed. It replenishes, by the way, it is much less, only half a drop. If the thirst indicator of your character reaches 0, then you will begin to die in principle. As from hunger, after health goes down to half a heart. On normal easy difficulty you will be more than able to survive, but if you are on difficult then you will die accordingly. Well, in fact, you should not be afraid of thirst at all because the mod also adds a water purifier. It is crafted at a fairly early stage of the game. Take just some sand, a couple of boards, some glass and charcoal, place it, and then right-click, go to the water purifier, where in the lower slot you must necessarily put charcoal, and then on top you can put bottles of water, and after a short waiting time you will get a bottle of clean water. It no longer imposes the effect of thirst. When drinking such a bottle, it will replenish more thirst than ordinary unpurified water, namely 2.5 units, instead of 1.5 dirty water from the swamp. By the way, I can also be cleaned, only it is done in 2 stages. At the beginning, recycle dirty water into a regular one, and after completing the process you will get the same bottle as if you collected it from a river or sea. You will need to process it again so that the water is completely clean. Note that for all these transformations charcoal is gradually spent from below, but 1 piece is enough. For many bottles you can use clean water in recipes for creating a variety of drinks. They are all juices for every taste and color from a variety of items. Even glowing berries of new versions were brought in. Unlike bottles with various water juices, you can stack 16 pieces at once to compactly carry them with you on long trips. Note that cow's milk and also a potion also replenish a little thirst. If anything, all the values are indicated in halves of droplets, and it turns out that the cheapest and most effective for survival is watermelon juice. From each block of watermelons many slices fall out, from each of which you can create almost the coolest juices. And clean water for making juices is not at all necessary to get only from a water purifier. There is another way for a later stage of the game. This is a new one, a block that can be created from 4 irons of 1 thread and a barrel. Find a good place and place it in the open air so that when it rains in your world, it falls straight into this block. The rain collector will collect almost every drop that falls, and after a while it will fill with water. You can notice this by going to the block itself and looking right under the net. With an empty bottle you can collect it and enjoy drinking crystal clear water and either create juices. There is another useful thing that will allow you to fight thirst. I'm talking now about a leather flask. It is created quite cheaply. You will need to find cows. It can also be filled in any body of water exactly like a bottle. But there is one nuance: from a flask you can drink as many as 5 times they are one, like from a bottle, in the same way the water in it can be dirty and ordinary and purified depending on where you collected it from, and of course it can be purified on a water purifier. By the way, it takes the same amount of time as cleaning one bottle, so flasks are essentially 5 times more profitable, but unfortunately you cannot pour any juices into them. The maximum you can store a flask with clean water is the best solution. Find a good place and place it in the open air so that when it rains in your world, it falls straight into this block. The rain collector will collect almost every drop that falls, and after a while it will fill with water. You can notice this by going to the block itself and looking right under the net. With an empty bottle you can collect it and enjoy drinking crystal clear water and either create juices. There is another useful thing that will allow you to fight thirst. I'm talking now about a leather flask. It is created quite cheaply. You will need to find cows. It can also be filled in any body of water, exactly like a bottle. But there is one nuance: from a flask you can drink as many as 5 times they are one, like from a bottle, in the same way the water in it can be dirty and ordinary and purified depending on where you collected it from, and of course it can be purified on a water purifier. By the way, it takes the same amount of time as cleaning one bottle, so flasks are essentially 5 times more profitable, but unfortunately you cannot pour any juices into them. The maximum you can store a flask with clean water is the best solution. Damage is inflicted. Hearts also get a new texture in case of death from heat. A unique death message will be provided overheated to death, and to prevent this from happening I will share with you several ways to protect yourself from temperature, and the easiest of them is to swim in water when you are hot. In this case the temperature will return to normal. A good option would be to use a block of loose snow. The main thing is not to stand in it for too long, otherwise you will start to die from the cold. If you went on a trip to a cold biome, on the contrary, use a fire to warm up. However, you know that sometimes it takes a very long time to stand near it for the player to become warm. But an equally good way to protect yourself from the negative impact of the environment will be to use 2 new sets of armor. A wool set, as is logical, can be created from wool blocks. Blocks of absolutely any color will do, and the recipes themselves are exactly the same as vanilla ones. And as a result, no matter what kind of wool you created it from, you will always get white, but you can later paint it any color. Like leather armor, the armor is not completely painted, but only its white part is darker. Slightly yellowish fur will remain the same color even after repainting, and even if you paint the elements in different incompatible colors, it looks quite tolerable on the character. And as you can see, it completely protects me from the cold when I am in a winter biome. If I am not in full light, I will freeze accordingly. As you can see, my temperature indicator has already acquired a bluish color, but for hotter climates, an alternative set is suitable. Armor created from any foliage recipes are exactly the same as vanilla, and absolutely any foliage will do, even blooming azaleas from new versions of Minecraft. What's interesting about the couch is that the armor will acquire the color of the foliage of the house in which you are. For example, in the desert, and the foliage is brighter green than in honey, and this is displayed even on my armor, and not only on the character model but also on the icons of the worn armor elements, those that are simply in the inventory. They adapt to the color of the biome well, and the principle of operation of the leafy armor is absolutely the same as the previous armor. Only they protect not from the cold, but on the contrary from the heat. For example, in the desert, the main thing to remember is that the armor from this mod is generally not suitable for battle because it has characteristics lower than vanilla leather. I will also add a strange observation. You can paint the leafy armor in absolutely any colors, but after putting it on they will instantly reset. And in general, this is all that I managed to find out about the UK Snails mod. At the moment, I think that this information will be more than enough for you to survive with this modification. By the way, it plays very cool even on some large assemblies, at least because the mod is made with high quality and is already automatically compatible with almost all other added mods. And by the way, just about compatibility, this mod will play great with the installed mod that adds seasons to Minecraft. And here we are talking not only about temperature but also other nice little things in different seasons. For example, leafy armor now changes its color and for the seasons. But now, very briefly about how the temperature changes over the course of the game year. I made a table that shows the time of year and also its month by numbers and how the temperature changes in them. It is clearly visible that spring and autumn are the most comfortable, or rather their middle, but in winter the situation is completely opposite because their middle will be the most dangerous, can even be fatal if you do not properly equip and Fivronia shown armor or do not use other methods of cooling or protection from heat. At the End of the video, I will add that, in case of your death from any critical temperature, the player is affected by the effect of climate clemens, and for as long as 5 minutes immediately after rebirth, this is translated as pardon of the climate, and as many have already guessed, this effect completely protects the player from the negative influence of temperature. This is Farron 5 minutes, so that you have time to get to the nearest water to cool off, or, on the contrary, make a fire and not die from the cold well. And this exhausts the content of the mod. Such snails. I hope that you liked today's video and help to get acquainted with this hardcore US mod for survival in the style of vanilla. And as always, do not forget to sculpt, like, subscribe to the channel, leave comments. This all greatly helps to promote the videos and the channel as a whole. I will be very pleased. Well and on.